Jan Egeland, welcome back to the programme.
Thank you.
So you were last there, and we last talked to you in Gaza last February, so it was a time ago. And I just want to know, from your, bird's eye view, how have things changed for the people?
It's so much worse. I'm really shaken to my core, Kристиан, having been now in Gaza City all day today and in Khan Yunis and Rafah yesterday. Gaza is destroyed. There's no other way to describe it. It's a densely populated urban area filled to the brim with refugees to start with, and it's destroyed. There are tens of thousands of dead people, and most of the families I meet, including my own Gaza Palestinian colleagues, they've been chased around the map here 10 times. They've lost their home, the home of their relatives, the home of their aunt, their uncle, etc. They are really on the bottom of the pit. This senseless war has to end. It is not self-defense, as is claimed by Israel and its arms allies like the United States. This is unlawful destruction of a civilian society.
Okay, so let me ask you, because you mentioned the United States, there's been an election, as you know, and Donald Trump has won. I want to know whether you think, I realize it's early days, but based on the past, there will be a different approach by Trump than the Biden administration. If so, what?
Well, we got some humanitarian help from the Biden administration, but they were incapable of doing anything to end the violence and also the besiegement of the population here. Donald Trump has said, I will end this war, I will bring peace. He says he's a forceful politician. I think he can exert pressure on the strongest party, which is Israel, and maybe he can work with Arab and other nations to make the Palestinian side come together, be coherent, recognize Israel, release the hostages, so that not more thousands of more children are killed. Thousands of children are killed here in Gaza, and tens of thousands of others are starving.
So President Biden and the administration said that unless this humanitarian situation is resolved, they would reconsider the rules under which they deliver military aid. That is meant to be decided in 2 weeks' time, that 30-day period. You can't even get to the north, right, where we have heard the UN say that the entire north faces famine.
There has been no improvement, even of humanitarian aid reaching women and children here. We needed 500-600 trucks per day, not just delivered across the border, but to the people of Gaza. 30 humanitarian trucks were delivered, 30 delivered per day to 2 million people. It's nothing. And much of that was delivered is now looted. It doesn't reach the people because the police has been bombed to pieces and there is no law and order. So the verdict is Israel did not deliver humanitarian assistance, nor the conditions therefore, and that must have consequences.
You mentioned, all these people being moved around a lot. And we hear from those in northern Gaza, which is, as you just said, cut off, that people are even afraid to move because they're afraid of being shot when they move. And they don't even know what to do anymore. And there's this other aspect called the General's Plan, which the Israeli government denies, but it appears to be implemented like surrounding and besieging certain towns, either to starve or force them into surrender. Do you believe that that's happening?
What I see, just having come down from Gaza City, which is next door to the northern governorate, that is besieged. There is a strangulation, no other way of saying it, of more than 100,000 people there. I'm sure there are some bad guys inside, fighters, but there are many more babies, children, women, innocent. All are being strangled now, starved. There is no aid going in. I met people who have fled Jabalia camp, which is in the middle of that besiegement areas. They said they had nothing to eat. They were starving whilst there is fierce fighting in the midst of the civilian population. They fled from certain death in Jabalia to the ruins of Gaza. Gaza City is in complete rubble. That's where they now live, and it's a sign that this has to end. And if Israel has a plan, general's plan, to depopulate and colonize northern Israel, the rest of the world will not accept it. And I think President Trump will understand that it is the cost for Israel and for its ally, the US, will be too big if the whole world sees this mass slaughter of people and the colonization and forcible transfer, or colonization of land and forcible transfer of the original population in Gaza.
Well, to that point, Itamar Ben-Gvir, who, as you know, is a key member of Netanyahu's coalition, has said about Trump's victory, it is a time for sovereignty, he said, in the West Bank. But we know that they also believe that Israel should resettle Gaza. I wonder whether you think under Trump, who did in his first term cut funding for UNRWA, close the PLO office, cut $200 million of US aid to the Palestinians, whether you think that any movement towards the US view that there should be a two-state political solution, whether that is in jeopardy?
Well, I do register that the settlers and their representatives in the government, Finance Minister Smotrich, Interior Minister Ben-Gvir, who are associated with these criminal gangs. The settler gangs, I've seen them beat women and children and burn down homes and demolish schools. This is the settler movement, really. They are celebrating, but I think they may be surprised, but Donald Trump will have to listen to Gulf countries, Arab countries, Saudi Arabia, and Europe and the rest of the world, and they would say, we cannot afford to be seen as hypocrites on an astronomical level by condoning horrific occupation in Palestine whilst we're trying to fight Putin's occupation of Ukraine.
Well, that is also in doubt, as you know. Can I ask you very quickly, finally, the Israeli government has basically, banned UNRWA from operating, a vote in the Knesset. The Israeli government is talking about maybe private security firms, escorting aid around Gaza. Is that even possible from your perspective?
No. It would be a catastrophic strategic mistake. No one will touch any of these militarized, politicized aid efforts. It's in contrary to all of our humanitarian principles. None of us in the UN, in the non-governmental organizations, in the Red Cross and Red Crescent will touch it. UNRWA must be able to continue its work. It is vital, especially for education and health. I saw it myself. The children in their schools and the children at the health posts, all of that is now in danger. This has to be reversed. You cannot continue by trampling on humanity as one is here in Gaza.
Jan Egeland, thank you very much for your eyewitness perspective and all the experience you bring to this discussion.
Thank you, Kристиane.